Hello, hello. Is anybody out there? This is my first live stream, so there could be 5 people. There could be 1,000 people. There could be 5 people. Give it a couple minutes. Wonder who is winning. Let's check the scores of the games. Is anybody out there? Hey, something in the chat if anybody is watching. This is my first live stream, so this is the first time I'm actually, yes, we got a couple people out there. What's up, guys? Phoenix Rising 2430 and Mudhathir Qureshi. I'm probably butchering that. Sorry, buddy. This is my first live stream on my own. Usually I have a guest or I've got somebody that, or I'm joining a show somewhere. So this is the first time I'm just on kind of by myself. So feel free to, jump in the chat. I'm just going to kind of react to the chat. You've got all my attention tonight. First off, I just want to talk about for you football fans out there, the Saints are making a play for Jadeveon Clowney. I just saw something about that. So that's really interesting considering we have Cam Jordan and we have Marcus Davenport. And then we're still trying to sign Alvin Kamara. So I don't know. Hey, what's going on with that Raptors Celtics game? Who's winning? I don't have it on in front of me. I'm just kind of checking on my phone. Do we have any updates? Guys, by the way, I'm exhausted. It's 9 o'clock Eastern and I'm powering through. I've got coffee at 9 p.m. Eastern. 95 to 95? Oh my gosh. How much time is left? Oh, geez, 5 minutes left. Okay. Anything can happen with 5 minutes to go. I mean, the Raptors, I kind of get a feeling like the Raptors are going to pull this one out because if they don't, I mean, down 3-0, that's pretty much ball game as far as I'm concerned. All right, move thought here. Let me see if I can. All right, had a question. 98 Topps Chrome Peyton Manning PSA 9 was 1/10 the value of the PSA 10. PSA 9 Pop Report is only about $3K. So I don't know why the value has been falling the last 2 weeks. Do you know why? What is the value? What's the value been doing for the PSA 10 Peyton Manning? I have not been following that card. PSA 10 dropping as well? Yeah. Or is that sorry, I've got my family in the background here. Has the PSA 10 price fallen or is that just the 9? I don't own any of those Mannings. It's a hell of a card, though. I mean, I would definitely love to have them. That was one where, another one where a year ago you really could have gotten some good bargains on it. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, Peyton Manning, nothing's happened in the news that I've seen. His career is still what it is, and so I don't think anything has changed as far as he's concerned. I mean, we've seen kind of that. We've seen a little bit of a card dip over the last maybe like 7 to 10 days. I thought that it was mainly just basketball players that were dropping out of the bubble and so forth. I mean, maybe it does translate over to to other players like Peyton Manning. I'm not really sure. I don't have kind of that full spectrum of kind of that macro view of going on, but I have noticed that cards have been falling over the last couple of weeks, probably for the first time consistently in the last 6-7 months. So interesting trends for sure. All right. Big DMC, I believe that's Drake. I think the YouTuber KB Legends pumped the 9, so all of his members bought it, which artificially drove the value up. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't know about KB Legends, but um, it would seem that Peyton Manning would be a hot card just because of exactly what Phoenix Rising says here is that Manning is eligible for the Hall of Fame next year. So you have that Hall of Fame announcement coming. There's some good news, surrounding the player. So wouldn't be too much of a shock for his cards to go up. Plus, Peyton Manning is an all-time great. I mean, he's going to go down as a top 10 QB of all time, I would say. He's definitely top 15, but probably top 10. I have not seen these new Donruss football. What do you guys think? CeeDee Lamb cards are selling way high relative to other receivers in the draft. Okay. And I'm assuming too with these Donruss football, with this set, it's going to be, is it CeeDee Lamb in a Cowboys uni or is it college uni? Like, are the rookie cards in the team uniform or is it college? I haven't taken a look at those new Donruss football. I really, really, really want some of those mosaics. I want the new mosaic football. I think it drops on the 11th, and it's more that's more the collector in me. It's not okay. That's the first pro uniform. Okay, what do you think of the new CeeDee Lamb selling way higher? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of hype around CeeDee Lamb. I think that a lot of guys, a lot of fantasy football people and everything. I think that they believe CeeDee Lamb is going to get the Cowboys over the top. And honestly, I mean, they have a lot of weapons. CeeDee Lamb was kind of I was a little surprised to see them draft him. I thought they might go defense or something, but because they already do have playmakers, and so I was thinking, I wasn't sure if they were going to take a receiver, but there were so many good receivers in the first round in this year's draft, and they just couldn't pass them. They couldn't pass up on them, and I don't really blame them. I mean, he was arguably the best receiver in the whole draft. I mean, there was probably 3 or 4 guys that you could say, were right up there, and CeeDee Lamb was one of them. So, they're going to be a lot to deal with in the NFC East for sure. All right. What are your thoughts on Russell Wilson? Good buy at around $1,100 for his PSA 10 Chrome. Oh, and the problem, Drake, is I haven't been following Russell Wilson's, I don't own any of his rookies. So personally, I haven't been following it. So I wouldn't even know if $1,100 is a good price or not. I wouldn't know. But as far as the players concerned, I do think that Wilson will go down as a very good player. He's got a Super Bowl win. I do think that and he's one of those guys too. He's young enough. He might add another ring, which could be big. I mean, that could really help him a lot as far as his legacy goes. So Russell Wilson, I mean, if he can just get one more ring, I mean, that's a legacy builder for sure. And he's a great player. He's one of those first guys that was able to really kind of run and throw. I mean, I know there's a lot of guys going back to Fran Tarkenton. I mean, there's been a lot of QBs that can do that, but Wilson is special. He's special because you accompany that with very good decision making. So I really like Russell Wilson, but to be fair, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't buy any of his rookies right this second just because of where pricing is. Pricing is just so high. I would probably wait till after the NFL season and see if things have cooled off a little bit if I was going to take a shot on some Russell Wilson stuff. I agree. Joel says Joel Kaplan. Oh, wait, are we talking about? Okay, I buy cheap Randy Moss rookies. He's very undervalued. I thought you were talking about Russell Wilson. Yeah, Randy Moss. I feel kind of dumb that I didn't get in on those. I think it's his Topps Chrome, the PSA 10s that have shot straight up. That was kind of a no-brainer last year. But you know what? I was kind of following that trend of, just focused on QBs. I was not really focused on wide receivers and running backs as much, even last year when last football season, even for all-time greats like Randy Moss or Jerry Rice or any of those guys. I was just focused around QBs. I bought a Montana rookie. Actually, I did buy a Jim Brown rookie card, a PSA 3. About 2 years ago, about 18 months ago. But outside of that, I just stuck to QBs for football cards. So yeah, Randy Moss, man, he's so underrated. I mean, you're talking, he's a top 3 wide receiver of all time. I mean, he has to be up there. He's certainly top 5. You know, Jerry Rice kind of gets the nod for the GOAT of the receivers, but Randy Moss, man, I remember when he came into the league with the Vikings, and he was an absolute force. Nobody could stop the guy. That him and Chris Carter, they would just lob it up to him, and he would catch everything that was thrown at him. I mean, he was an absolute machine, and he did it for so long. He's an impressive guy. I might take a look, actually, now that you brought up Moss, I might take a look at some of his PSA 9 stuff just to see where that stands. I know the PSA 10s are pretty expensive. I'll probably take a look and see what those are, or what those are going for. Guys, I bought a Marcus Allen rookie card this morning. my vintage football, my vintage football push. You know, I've been going hard lately on just the last couple weeks on PSA 9 all-time greats. So like the PSA 10s, and you know this. And now Marcus Allen is 83 tops. Marcus Allen's 83 tops. So it's not, some people wouldn't call that vintage. For me, that's kind of right on the borderline for it, I would say. I think there's maybe like 1,700 of them out there, or, you know, a couple thousand. So it's not super, super rare in a PSA 9, but the PSA 10s are just way out of my price range. But you can get, you know, I've gotten Eric Dickerson rookie cards, PSA 9, Marcus Allen, PSA 9, Marshall Faulk, PSA 9s. You know, I mean, there's a lot of values out there, certainly. You know, for those PSA 9s that are, and you know what, I take a look at the pop report too, and just see kind of, you know, how it looks. If the PSA 9s, if there's 10 million of them, then I won't mess with it. But a lot of times there's not that many. PSA Jerry 86 tops rookie is like 4,000-ish. Yeah. And that's looking really like a bargain. What's the PSA 10? 20, 25 grand right now. And I think there's only about 50 of those in existence. Yeah, Wax. Yeah, and I hear you. Yeah, that you're right. Actually, nostalgia era is that's a good way to put it. Nostalgia era. I like that. Because I agree with you. And I've invested in some rare comic books as well, and comic books break it down. Maybe it was you that we were talking about. There's another guy on Twitter, maybe we were going back and forth, but in comic books, you've got Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and Bronze is kind of that 80s, you know, all the 80s stuff, all the Spider-Man stuff. And, you know, they've got it segmented out into, you know, bronze, gold, silver, bronze, and that's helpful. In football, you know, in sports cards, they haven't kind of figured that out yet, but pre-Marino and post-Marino, I like that. Are you a big Dolphins fan? If you're a big Dolphins fan, what are the thoughts on Tua? I'll be honest with you, I am not crazy about Tua. I've heard that he's healthy. I heard that Josh Rosen is on the trade block, which to me, I'm kind of like, why wouldn't you just hold on to Josh Rosen just as a backup? And maybe I'm missing, I don't know, is Fitzpatrick there too? Maybe as a backup. I don't know who the Dolphins have on their roster, but yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting that Josh Rosen was on the trade block, where it's like, you know, that guy's got potential. Why not keep him around? I don't know. And he's still cheap on his rookie contract. I don't know. All right, let's go back up here. What else did I miss? Yeah, Randy Moss is still on TV. Yeah, true. I was thinking about that with Eric Dickerson too. Eric Dickerson is still on TV, and he's personable. Yeah, he's a funny guy. You know, so Eric Dickerson's one of those guys. Eric Dickerson's top 10 running back of all time. I mean, I watched him play a little bit as a kid. I was a little bit too young to really get a lot of Eric Dickerson, the great years, but he was a beast. He was an absolute beast. I picked up an Earl Campbell rookie card as well here recently in a PSA 7, but they're inexpensive. You know, they're just not, you know, they're not expensive. Now, granted, it's a PSA 7. It's not a 9 or a 10, but it's a 40-year-old card or something. All right, SG4 Sports. I think Zeke is undervalued. He's recovered from COVID, won't miss any time due to that, and the Cowboys are loaded. The Cowboys are loaded. They look good. And honestly, their division right now, the NFC East is usually tough. But, I mean, if you're looking at even the Eagles are kind of like blah, and usually the Eagles are extremely competitive. The Redskins, you know, kind of you know, I just don't know. I don't know. And then the Giants are kind of still, you know, rebuilding. I think Daniel Jones will take a good step forward, but honestly, he could have a sophomore slump. I mean, they've got Saquon, but the NFC East is obviously the Cowboys to take. I mean, there's not another team in the NFC East outside of maybe if the Eagles maybe surprise. I mean, Wentz and those guys there. I mean, I think they'll be good, you know, but the NFC East is not as tough, you know, as it typically is. You think so, Joel? So Joel is saying the Giants will be better than you think. You know what I'm interested in seeing with the Giants? They've got that new head coach. I really, really like their new head coach. And so I think that could be a deciding factor. Sometimes when new head coaches come in, they set the world on fire because they've got the team going in another direction where the rest of the division hasn't seen that yet. So, you know, they've got new offense, new defense, whatever it is, new attitude. So you're right. I mean, the Giants could very well take a big step forward. And I think that Daniel Jones is a franchise QB. I think that he is going to be very good in the league. Give him a couple years to kind of get things going. I remember I went to a Saints-Giants game when Eli Manning was a rookie, and we absolutely smoked him. Aaron Brooks was our quarterback. I think we won by like 30 points. But Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls, had a great career with the Giants. But his first couple of years, he was just trying to figure it out. People forget it takes time for these guys to get locked in. Are you kidding me? I came on live and I just missed. Is the game over? Did the Celtics win? Guys, you're killing me. See, I'm on here with you. I'm sacrificing this Celtics Raptors game. Who won? Did the Celtics win or did the Raptors pull it out? Oh, the Raptors won. Okay. Wow. You know what? They needed it. If they had gone down 3-0, that was it. 3-pointer at the buzzer for the Raptors. Who made it? Who made the 3? That's incredible. That is incredible. I do not actually, do I have any RPAs? Anytime I see a star wide receiver tight end with a price below the Prism Silver, it's a big buy signal. You know, that's a really good point, Yamwax. I probably should look harder at RPAs. And there are a lot of guys talk to me about RPAs. And, you know, I might have 1 or 2, but it's not a focus. I'll tell you, it hasn't been much of a focus. And you know what? Here's kind of the other part of this. So on the one hand, I'm very excited about the fact that wide receivers, tight ends, running backs are getting love as far as, you know, their pricing has gone. I've gotten into it some. As a Saints fan, I've bought in a lot of Alvin Kamara stuff. Hopefully he signs. I'm about to have a heart attack over here. You know, I heard the Saints are trying to sign Jadeveon Clowney, which great pass rusher, but what about Kamara out there? I don't know how they're going to pay everybody. But anyway, I'm not sold yet. Here's the thing. Last season, when I was buying football cards, and I do think that this season will be different. I do think it'll be different. But last season, guys, Saquon Barkley and guys like, not necessarily Alvin Kamara because he was hurt. McCaffrey would have monster games. Last year, his cards would not budge. His cards didn't go up. His cards did not go up. So, you know, I guess here's my thing is that there is a lot of hype leading up to the season about these guys. And I know that people have been buying into them, and a lot of new collectors, a lot of the fantasy football guys, I see their channels. They're talking about, buying receivers and running backs. And I've seen the prices go up. What I'm really interested in seeing is if that holds through the season and if you have the same reactions as kind of what is expected. Because I think what a lot of people are expecting is Officer Sausage. Is this a prank? First off, I love the profile pic. Do you think Noob Master 69 was low-key in Avengers Endgame? I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, but I'm not sure that. So I guess here's what I want to see. When the actual season starts, is it going to happen to where Alvin Kamara has a big game and his prices jump? Because it did not happen like that last year. It didn't, so it could be that the hobby has changed. It could very well be. I'm curious to see. And I have bought in. I have not put a ton of resources into receivers and running backs. I haven't. I've speculated on some of those guys. I've picked up some stuff. I picked up some David Johnson Prism Silvers, not Prism Silver, like Red Ruby, or they were colored, and I thought they looked cool. And literally, honestly, they were like $5. And I'm thinking, well, if David Johnson has a bounce back year, then these could see a little bit of a spike. So it's stuff like that. I picked up some pass rushers. I haven't bought any graded stuff, just raw stuff. Yeah, so SG4 Sports, you're asking kind of do you think football cards, especially Prism, will follow the basketball trends and prices this year? And like I was saying, I'm really curious to see that. And also, there's a lot more injuries in football. So some of these guys, hate to say it, but I mean, some of these guys are going to get hurt. In the NFL, if you get COVID, you're out for 3 weeks. So if somebody gets COVID, they're sitting out 3 games. How does that affect their cards? So I guess I've taken kind of a more careful approach. I've bought more vintage football cards than I have modern football cards recently, just for those reasons. A little bit hesitant, and who knows, maybe I'll be wrong. And, this stuff will spike after each game. I've heard people say, like, there's a week in between NFL games, so that's a whole week for people to react, overreact, underreact. Absolutely could happen like that. I understand the thinking. I understand the logic. It's just that I didn't see that last season. I just didn't see it with skill players, and we'll just have to see. But I'm excited about it. Honestly, I'm a huge football guy, so I'm excited to see it, and I really hope for football cards that it does happen like that. I hope George Kittle, has a huge game and his cards go crazy. That would be a lot of fun because it's never been that way before. It hasn't. Teams have big games in their QBs. Even last year, I picked up. I had Jimmy Garoppolo stuff. And Jimmy Garoppolo, was in the Super Bowl. He was a couple plays away from winning a Super Bowl. And his cards, you would have been shocked. I mean, what were the 49ers? 14-2 last year, 13-3. They had a beast of a season. Now, granted, it wasn't necessarily because Garoppolo was lighting it up, but he was on the best team in the NFC, arguably. They beat the Saints barely because they cheated. But Garoppolo's stuff did not spike. I guess my point is that I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to this stuff, sometimes. So I'm really curious to see how that goes. All right, let's see. Drake, what do we have here? Gary V often mentions the obscure sets like Icy Bear, Cons, etc. Is there a list out there of these type sets, or what's the best way to find that other than wait for him to mention it? I almost bought just to kind of give you an idea, I almost bought a Joe Montana an 82 top sticker today because I was thinking, like, are stickers going to become a thing? And then it's a second year Montana. Just very interesting card or sticker. Here's the problem with a lot of the obscure sets. It's kind of like, it reminds me of the 90s when there was a million limited edition sets. Okay. So, and you guys that were collecting back then, exactly what I'm talking about. In the 90s, you had a zillion different limited edition sets to where just because it's limited doesn't mean that it's gonna have the demand meet that supply, that limited supply. And that's what you would find with a lot of these obscure sets. So if you're looking for the obscure sets as an investment, I would be very careful with that, just because demand's got to meet it somewhere. If you're just trying to collect them because they look cool, or you want to just have them and you just think it's cool to have those sets, then I think that's a whole nother conversation. And that's, that could be something that's certainly worthwhile, but I don't know of where those would be listed. I'm not exactly sure. If anyone has any resources for that, I'd be interested in knowing, but I don't know. All right. Pickle Gary, just buy early Brady and Breeze cards and call it a day, then focus on building your soccer stuff. I can't argue with you with Drew Brees, man. I can't argue. He's the greatest player of all time. I'm just going to leave that there and see if I get any reactions. Hey, if for people that don't know, I'm a diehard New Orleans Saints fan. So, Drew Brees is my favorite Saints player of all time. Although when I started watching the Saints, this is going to age me, but my hero was Bobby Hebert in 1987. Bobby Hebert was the quarterback. He's from Louisiana, so he's got kind of a Cajun accent. And then you had the Dome Patrol, which was Ricky Jackson and Pat Swilling and Sam Mills. We had a absolutely ferocious defense that just got after guys. And that was back when you could hit the quarterback. So these guys, Ricky Jackson was a monster. If you've never seen these guys, go to YouTube and check out Dome Patrol highlights, Saints, 80s. And these guys were just absolute monsters. So anyway, that's just Saint stuff. I don't know if anyone even cares, but I'm throwing it out there anyway. There it is. There's another Saints fan, Big D. I hear you. I hear you. He's the true GOAT. He's just got 5 more championships to win. Just got to crank them out. You know, we need to get them this year, next year, the year after. Got to keep them going. All right, Patrick Knoll. Let's see. Oh, Patrick Knoll. The hobby is in a dangerous place if cards become day trading based on a weekly performance of a certain player. Fortunately for me, I don't collect modern. I hear you, Patrick. I mean, I think that, you know, if you are a sports gambler, if it's something to where I think the only way that I guess it could be healthy is if you are somebody that's betting huge money on, you know, on games, and it's kind of win or lose, and maybe you have a really strong addiction and you're, you know, I mean, if it's something that can, if at least you have something tangible in a card, then maybe that is a better outcome than sports betting. But I agree with you. I mean, overall, I think that, you know, it's a fun extension of fantasy football, but I think the main thing is be careful with where you're spending, how you're spending. If all your money is going into this stuff and it's, you know, you're not getting food on the table, if you have a family, you know, I have a family, so, you know, I have to be choosy, you know, so I would say, look, you know, don't put your entire, you know, your retirement on it, you know, let this be kind of a fun thing you're doing on the side. Because, yeah, I mean, if it's coming to, you know, people really losing their shirt because they're putting all their money into, you know, they're speculating on players and athletes and their careers. And I agree with you. It's kind of, yeah, it's a little scary. All right. Ricky Jackson was the best. Thank you. Baby Swagoo, is Brady going to hang 60 on them early? Are you talking about week 1 against my Saints? You know what? If we don't get Alvin Kamara back, then you might not be wrong. But you might not be wrong. The Bucs signed Leonard Fournette. So now I think, you know, I'm going to try to jinx them right here. I'm going to call them the dream team. If you remember a few years back, the Eagles were the dream team. They picked up a bunch of free agents and they were going to win the Super Bowl, and they went like 4-12. The Bucs are absolutely stacked. They are absolutely stacked. I mean, if you look at their receiving core and then you throw in Gronk, I mean, even if Gronk is half the guy he was, which he's not, I'm sure he'll be in shape and he's going to be ready to roll. He's going to be ready to roll. They're just absolutely loaded. You know, they're going to be very difficult to beat in the division. And this is coming from a Saints fan. You know, I think the Panthers are kind of rebuilding. I really like Teddy Bridgewater. Obviously, he was a Saint last year. Bridgewater is an overall good guy, and he's a good QB. I think he's really underrated. And then they have McCaffrey. They lost Kuechly, so I think that they're still a couple years away of kind of putting a team together that can really compete. The one team I'm really interested in, the Falcons in our division. No one's talking about the Falcons, and the Falcons have some weapons. They have some weapons on their team, and their defense is good too. They're just always injured. The last couple of years, they've just gotten annihilated with injuries. So I'm really interested in seeing the Falcons. As much as I do not like the Falcons, they can be trouble too. They have the offensive firepower to keep up. That's what the Falcons have. You know, so we'll just have to see. All right. The next Thomas Dwan Jr., I realize pop reports heavily matter in terms of investing purposes. What would you consider a high pop report? I would say this varies depending on the card and the set and the year. This really varies. It varies a lot. It also varies on demand of a player. You know, I mean, it's just tough. If you're making a comparison to a player that's playing right this second, like a Luka Doncic, compared to, you know, a guy that's not playing anymore, let's say Chris Mullin, you know, retired Hall of Fame player, basketball player. They're just very different. You know, you're looking at pop reports, you're looking at pricing, you know, you're looking at a lot of different aspects of it. And then just kind of how you feel about that person's career long term. If it's a Luka Doncic, then obviously you're somewhat gambling because this is a brand new player. He's 2 years in the league. Whereas if you're buying Charles Barkley, the guy's had a Hall of Fame career. You know, so he's already done his thing. You know, so I think it really, really just depends. But pop reports matter a lot to me, and I'm always looking at pop reports compared to pricing. I'm looking at PSA 10s compared to 9s. How many 9s are there? How many 10s are there? Even 8s. I bought 2 Phil Simms rookie card PSA 8s recently, and they were $22. I mean, that's what the grading fee is basically, and it's a 1980 Topps. I mean, it's a 40-year-old card. So PSA 8 in a 40-year-old card is not a terrible grade. Phil Simms is not, he's not Joe Montana, but he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So, I think you could just kind of have to, it all depends on you and kind of what your threshold is. Joel does not like my pop report talk. When was the last time you went to a card show in the last 30 years and heard anybody talk about pop reports? I disagree. Well, 30 years ago, they didn't have pop reports, Joel. They didn't even grade cards, really. The grading was very, I think maybe it was there, but it was rare and nobody, it was not mainstream like it is now. So yeah, I mean, times have changed. But look, I mean, pop reports don't have to matter to everybody. I mean, if you think that certain demand will never go away for certain players and for, I mean, that's perfectly okay. You're within your right to buy whatever you want to buy. And it's really on you. I mean, if it's important to you, then great. If it's not, then it's not, totally up to you. A lot of people talk about pop reports. I'm not the only one that talks about pop reports. And you know what? Honestly, if I am the only one that's talking about pop reports, I'm glad that I am the one talking about pop reports, because it needs to be talked about. Hey, Steve, how you doing? Good to see you, Card Collector. Good to see you guys. I did not see the buzzer beater. I was here, so I didn't get to see it. I'm going to have to go catch the highlights later, but yeah. Oh, you mean at a card show? Sorry, Joel. I haven't been to a card show in over 15 years. You know what? My first card show in 15 years is going to be the National in July. I'm going no matter what. I don't care if there is a family wedding that day. Hopefully, crossing all my fingers, there's not a funeral of any sort. But I will be at the National. Even if there's no hotel rooms left, I'm going to be sleeping in a van somewhere attending the National next year. I want to be there. I want to be at the largest show. I want to experience it. So I hope you guys are there too. All right. What other questions do we have, or just comments in general? Let's see. Let me go back up a little bit. UFC Chrome Wax. Are you buying UFC? How is UFC looking? UFC cards. I have not dug into that. I thought of getting some Conor McGregor stuff just because he's a huge personality, and I just figure like that guy is going to be remembered forever. I mean, he is a talent, and then he's got the personality. So I contemplated UFC, but I'm not big into UFC. It's not something that I follow. Steve, my man. I just bought a few of my favorite cards from the 89 Score football set. Got a PSA. Oh, an Andre Rison and a Tim Brown on the way. Andre Rison and Tim Brown. I had not thought about those guys. I do have, and I think I've mentioned this, but I've got a full set in a binder, an 89 Score complete set in a binder. The only graded rookies, though, I've got a PSA 10 Troy Aikman. I don't have a PSA 10 Barry Sanders. I didn't pull the trigger. Honestly, I didn't think they were going to spike the way that they did. And so I hesitated. I was waiting for those PSA 10 Barrys to be about $300 to like $250, $300 when they were selling for about $350, $400. Now they're $800, $900, $1,000. So I'm just going to have to hope that they take a dip at some point so I can get in on those. I love the 89 Score set is the ultimate nostalgia set for me. As a kid, those are the packs at the card shop that were $4. Could not afford them at all. My parents would buy me a single every now and then. I remember I had a Bubby Brister. He was the Steelers QB. I had a Bubby Brister card. I had random singles that I just kept in Toploaders that I was so proud of. I was 8 at the time. Yeah, Joel, PSA 10 Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders. That's another one that I'm kicking myself over. I had some good opportunities at Michael Irvin PSA 10s. I think they were at like $150, and this was about a year ago, maybe $125. and I lost a few auctions on them. I was at like 110, 115, 120, and now I think they're like $500, and Deion Sanders is like $500. I've got raw copies. I just don't have any graded stuff, and I want PSA 10s of that stuff. I do have a PSA 10 Thurman Thomas, 89 score. I was fortunate. I got that one at about $50 a year ago, maybe 8 or 9 months ago. Derek Thomas too, you're right. Derek Thomas, man, he was an animal. God rest his soul. He was an absolute animal when he played for the Chiefs. And that was a chase card. I remember when I was a kid, that Derek Thomas rookie card, everybody wanted that card. Everybody wanted that card. Okay. Oh, haven't heard you talk about Favre much on your channel. What do you think of him as being underpriced? You know, it's really funny, Patrick. So Brett Favre was my favorite player outside of the New Orleans. So I was a huge New Orleans Saints fan. I was always pulling for Favre with the Packers because the Saints never got anywhere in the playoffs. So the Packers were my second team that I was going for because they got better, they got good, and then they started making the postseason. And so I was kind of a de facto kind of Packers fan when the postseason came about. I bought an 89, or not an 89. I think it's a 91, his rookie action-packed rookie card and a PSA 10. Those are about $100 roughly. Okay, so here's my thing with that. Is it underpriced? Here's the problem with a lot of Favre stuff that I've seen is just he falls in that. I believe his rookie is 91, if I remember rightly, and there's 91 Upper Deck, there's 91 Action Packed. And my issue is they were printing the heck out of stuff in 91. So the tricky part for me is it's got to be PSA 10, but then the problem is there's just lots of PSA 10s out there. It's kind of that junk wax era. It's like buying, Mark McGuire rookie cards. It's like there's just so many of them printed. And then also if you go on eBay and you look up action packed 1991 action packed packs, like boxes, they're on there, or maybe it's 92, but I think it's 91 as well. But they're inexpensive. They're very inexpensive. Yes, 91 Stadium Club for the Favre rookie. I had that card as a kid raw. Wish I could find it. Was it 91 or 92 Stadium Club? The one where he's running and he's wearing like his Mississippi. Where did he go? It wasn't Mississippi State. It wasn't Ole Miss either. It was like University of Mississippi, or where did he go? He didn't go to Ole Miss. I can't think of it. Anyway. But yeah, no, that's a good, I love that Stadium Club card. But again, it's all about print runs for me on that one. So I think as far as just pricing and collecting it, it's like, I know that they're fairly inexpensive, but am I going to buy that card? I will end up having a few of those. They just haven't been as much of a priority for me as some of the more rare stuff. Like the Marcus Allen rookie card I bought this morning, PSA 9 was $60. So it's probably about the same, if maybe even less than those Favre rookie cards. And there's far fewer of the Marcus Allen rookie. So for right now, I'm gonna knock down those the Eric Dickerson rookie cards, the Marcus Allen rookie cards, the Phil Simms rookie cards. That's kind of the focus. But I do have some I have Favre stuff. I do have an action-packed rookie card of him. And part of that is I love those action-packed cards. Again, another expensive pack as a kid that now when you go online to go buy the packs, they're not expensive at all. I got some Emmitt Smith rookie cards too in action pack, but and I got PSA 10s. They were about $60, which seems like a pretty good value. But again, if you go on and you look at how much packs are, you can get boxes of packs of those action packed. And then, so that tells me that people can go buy those. They can pull Emmitt's and then they can submit them for grading. And then there's that many more on the pop chart. So yeah, Steve, Cassius Clay rookie cards have been on fire. I missed that boat too. Yamwax. I missed that boat too. Yeah, this is a good point, Patrick. Chipper Jones cards. I remember Chipper Jones. That was another guy that the phenom in the early 90s that everybody was chasing. And I wasn't a big baseball guy. I'm still not a big baseball card guy. But yeah, Chipper Jones is one of those guys. He's just classic guy. So it's the same sort of hang up that I've got with those early 90s cards. Same thing with like Shaq rookies. To me, like Shaquille O'Neal is, I mean, he's going to go down as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. It just so happened that he was a rookie card during the era where they were printing the absolute mess out of cards. So, unless I'm going to buy something that is a little bit more rare, kind of like that Topps Gold rookie card, but that one's gone up. That one's in the thousands. And a PSA 10, I had it in my video. I had it in a video last week, I think. And, it was about $1,000, and then it's gone up to what, like $3,000 or $4,000. So for Shaq, I would need to have, some rarity to it. That would probably be, how I'd have to go. The Favre MG, the big chase, especially in green. I would have to look that up, Yamwax. I'm not sure. That's cool though. I'll have to take a look at that because I'm a believer in Favre. He's an all-timer. He's a classic all-timer. Sold for like $4,400 last year. So wow, yeah, that's awesome though. I need to look up that card. I want to see it. I'm not even sure if I've seen that card. I'm gonna have to check that one out. All right, PC, you have a Kobe Upper Deck PSA 9. What do you think would be worth by his Hall of Fame time? I'm not even sure I know which card that is. Is that an Upper Deck rookie card? And I'll be perfectly honest, I don't have any Kobe rookies. I don't have any of them. The price points just got kind of to a point where I just missed the boat on Kobe. And I just decided not to buy them raw at this point. All right, Steve. Dustin, got one for you. I was watching 2 PSA Shaq 9s during the Super Bowl. They were $9.99 with 2 minutes left. Put my bid in, won both for $9.99 a piece with combined shipping. Unreal. That's awesome. Nice job, Steve. Which cards were those? Were those the Stadium Club rookies, or which rookies were those? Let me know. Kobe Flair Ultra PSA 9. Nice. Yeah, from what I've seen, maybe Yamwax, maybe it was Yamwax, maybe it was us on Twitter. I felt like you were maybe in on that conversation, maybe not. But basically somebody was asking, he had a Kobe Topps rookie card. I think it was a PSA 9, and it had retreated in price over the last 10 days or so, but it was kind of fluctuating. So there were some sales that were a little bit lower, some that were about right. And the one thing he said that was over the last 30 to 60 days, that there was now 444 more of them now on the pop report. And so that kind of got my attention. And this is something I've been thinking about, and I know that Joel's going to probably disagree with me, to some degree, but we know that PSA is grading more cards this year than they ever have in their history. We know that, and then the fact that they closed down means that they're backlogged, and I think they're getting caught up. But here's the thing: I mean, think about how many people have gotten into the hobby since COVID, since March. How many of those people have been buying up raw cards, and how many of those people have been submitting to PSA? I mean, I see online, there's guys literally like, I submitted 100 cards to the PSA. I submitted 200 cards today to PSA. There's guys that are submitting thousands of cards to PSA, just like one guy. How many one guys are sending hundreds of cards to PSA? What is that? And then what's that going to look like at the end of the year when they get them all back? So what are these what are these pop reports going to look like in January 1? And so that's something that I'm really thinking about, especially for some of these base rookie cards, whether it be Kobe, whether it be Shaq or any of these, or Luka Doncic base prisms. Those treated in price, but Zion base prism, I want to see what that looks like January 1st. I'm not going to buy any of those until I see what those pops look like at the end of the year. I mean, if Luka's drop significantly, maybe I'll take a look at it. But I'm very, very curious because law of supply and demand, I understand that demand is very high, but at some point that supply reaches it. It comes up and, or maybe it won't. Maybe it won't reach it. Maybe like we hear more and more people getting into the hobby, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it all works together. That supply demand curve is a real thing. And I want to see what it looks like. I'm very, very curious to see what it looks like. And there's just so many new cards getting graded, so let's see how it shakes out. It'll be interesting. Been thinking, okay, Steve says, Been thinking outside the box, been buying boxing, get on it before it spikes like soccer did. So, Steve, a couple months ago, I was looking at like Mike Tyson rookie cards, or cards that were, older, and they were expensive. So I think I already missed that. But to me, that was Mike Tyson is like, he's not like Michael Jordan in the accomplishment sense. And of course, he had all sorts of outside the ring issues and problems, but he is a pop culture magnet. And that's where Mike Tyson is extremely intriguing. I like actually Brad, comeback card investor. He's gotten Mike Tyson stuff, and I get it. I understand why he's bought it, because Tyson is one of those guys that 20 years down the road, 30 years, 40 years down the road, people are going to remember him. He's going to be one of those guys that was a pop culture phenomenon. So I get it. Yamwax 2003 Net Pro. Yeah, the tennis stuff. Federer, Nadal, Serena rookies, 91. Yeah. No, and Agassi, Sampras rookies. You guys are getting in on the ground floor probably, because if tennis gets hot, I don't know what those cards were looking like when you bought them. Are they already expensive? I know like the Tiger Woods, I think it's an Upper Deck rookie card, has shot up in value. So I don't know what tennis looks like. I was actually thinking too, with soccer cards going nuts, like why not Mia Hamm? Mia Hamm is the best female soccer player of all time, as far as I know. I'm not a female soccer expert, but I just thought it was interesting. You can get a lot of her stuff for very inexpensive. So I don't know. Yeah, I like those Zag ideas. That's great. Thomas Dwan Jr., thoughts on Russell Wilson? Where do you rank him in the NFL's current player, and thoughts on investing in his cards? I just think that football cards, and especially leading up to the season, everything's kind of hot right now. Everyone's speculating because the season's about to start. If I was going to buy Russell Wilson, unless they go win the Super Bowl, I would probably hold a little bit on Russell's stuff. But he is an all-time great player. Russell Wilson he's got a Super Bowl ring. I think that he has a chance to add to it. Would anybody be shocked if the Seahawks added another Super Bowl win? I wouldn't. The Seahawks are a very good team. They're well coached. They've got weapons. They play in a very difficult division. I think that's going to be the toughest part for the Seahawks is, the Rams. No one's given the Rams any sort of a shot, but McVay is a great coach. I'm a believer in McVay. I think that Jared Goff is a good QB, and everyone kind of scoffs at Goff. That was a not intended pun, but and then they lost Gurley, which Gurley was hurt anyway. I don't think that Gurley is going to have much of an impact with the Falcons. To be wrong, but I think the Rams will be pretty good. I think Arizona's an improving team. They just added DeAndre Hopkins, which hard not to like that move. A lot of people are high on Kyler Murray, and then you've got the 49ers, who are arguably, the best team in that division. They're the defending division champions, and they are stacked. They are loaded. So with Russell Wilson, they're playing in a tough division. I think that'll be tough. Lamar Jackson, Steve, you're bringing up Lamar Jackson. I am incredibly interested to see what Lamar Jackson does this year, because he was on absolute fire last year, unstoppable. And he's just the most curious player to me, because, if he can do that over the long term, it would be amazing. But there's just, with those running QBs, we haven't seen consistency with that, where, Mike Vick was maybe the most consistent running QB. He had some injuries, but man, he was exciting for a long time. Mike Vick was a good player for a long time. And Lamar Jackson, I think he definitely has the opportunity to be that player as well. It's just, can he stay healthy? Can you take those hits? He's just got to play a very, very smart football to not get injured. So it'll be interesting. Whoa, that's a hot take, Steve. Lamar, in my opinion, is better than Patrick Mahomes overall. Whoa. Wow. He's certainly athletic. Lamar is extremely athletic. I will give him that. I think that Mahomes is just kind of operating at a different level right now. He's the defending Super Bowl champ, so I have to give the nod to Mahomes. But who knows? If Lamar Jackson, if the Ravens go win a Super Bowl, then all bets are off. All right, Poke Dads or Pokey Dads. Pokemon is pretty hot at the moment. Have you looked into the 99 first edition Shadowless? So I have, or my mom brought a bunch of cards over, and a couple weeks ago, a bunch of my old cards brought them, and there was Pokemon cards in there, but they were, and so I got all excited, and they're from 1999. So I'm super pumped. Start doing some research, and they are the Unlimited series. So they are not worth what I thought. And I literally pulled out 100 Pokemon cards, Unlimited series. I'm intrigued by those first edition Shadowless. Supposedly my brother has all of the, I don't think they're the first editions, but he's got the refractors, or whatever, the non-base. So he's the one that's going to probably make all the money off of it. But Pokemon is intriguing to me. I don't know a lot about it. I never played it. It was a little bit after my time. I was more, sports cards, and then it was Beanie Babies and some of the other stuff. And then Pokemon was more I have a 32-year-old brother that was in on some of the Pokemon stuff. But I know that it's popular, and I know that it's globally popular. So I think that it's certainly an emerging, market for sure. It's a whole different world from sports cards because it's not relying on performance as far as, I see the memes all the time of like, hey, look, Pikachu can't tear an ACL, with Pokemon cards. And I get that, I understand kind of the thinking behind it. It's the same thing with like the Magic the Gathering cards and other collectibles for that matter. There's a lot of different avenues to go down there to go. I think that the one thing I like about Pokemon is I think it'll stay relevant. The tricky part with some of these collectibles is, they're popular and then they go away. I saw someone talking about like Dungeons and Dragons, rare sets, board sets and things like that. There's a lot of rare things, but there might not be demand for that rare collectible, whatever that is. So it's all about it's all about the demand. Oh, I like this one. Trevor, I actually had some of these. When my mom brought the cards, I had some Marvel cards. I had some of the 1991. I forgot the set, the name of the set. Maybe, yeah, man, I wish I can probably, no, I don't think I have them down here, but yeah, I found like a Wolverine card from like 91. And then they had like very cool hologram cards. I had I think it was a Ghost Rider maybe. But yeah, no, the Marvel cards were awesome. I mean, because I collected comic books when I was a kid, I was big into the Image stuff in the early 90s. So I had like the Spawn and the Youngblood. Anybody that also had comic books would know what I'm talking about, because that was all early 90s Image comics, Savage Dragon and that sort of stuff. So the Marvel cards, I thought that was really cool. Yeah. I don't know if they're still making those sets or if those are just if that's just 90s stuff, but it's all interesting to me. I'm interested in all sorts of collectible type stuff. I'm just heavy into cards, at this point, and I plan on staying heavy into, I am going to mix it up. I'm gonna have more vintage. Right now I'm like 90-10, 90% modern, 10% vintage. And I said this in another video. A year from now, I'd really like it to be more like 70-30, 70% modern, 30% vintage. I just want to mix it up a little bit, just so that I can. I want to have those Hall of Famers. I don't want to necessarily. I do like the fun of being right on a player and the cards go up and all that stuff. But I also want some of those all timers. I want those all timers for sure. All right. Baby Swagoo, my grandfather left me his vintage guns. The market shrunk, to say the least. Careful with all this vintage, and don't be surprised if millennials don't appreciate our stuff. Yeah. No, I hear you, man. I hear you. There's so many different collectible type things. I mean, there's so many things to get into. Oh, Drake's getting into the Pokemon stuff. Picked up a 99 first edition Charmander PSA 10, first Pokemon I've owned. So are you getting into it, Drake, Big DMC, because you're getting into it, you're going to follow it and all that? Or is it kind of more investment like, hey, look, this thing's kind of catching fire and I want to be, I want to grab onto some of it. And are you planning on buying more of it? Or do you just want to have a couple? Oh, it's funny. Yeah, Steve, it's funny you bring up Randall Cunningham. I was looking at Randall Cunningham rookie cards yesterday. Cordell Stewart. Actually, I forgot about Cordell. Yeah, Cordell had his moments. He was a good player for a little bit. Mike Vick was electric. Man, I remember when he came out of college, he was at Virginia Tech and they played FSU in the national championship game. And FSU beat up on him pretty well. But Mike Vick, you could tell like he was he was special. He was different for sure. He was different. Trevor, I saw a BGS graded Thanos on eBay. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. I wonder what it cost. Do you remember how much they were asking for it? Who knows? You know what? We're laughing about Thanos cards, and watch, it'll completely explode. Everybody will be going for Avengers stuff. Investment. Okay, so Drake, you got him for an investment. Just wanted to buy a couple. My 7-year-old knows more about it than I do. He was more excited about the Charmander than my 69 Luau Cinder. That's one that, again, the Luau Cinder, I've almost pulled the trigger so many times on a lower grade Luau Cinder rookie, and I have it, and now, everything has gotten so expensive. It's just like, man, I miss those, and I'm definitely going to go back to that card. It's probably going to take a little bit of time. Hopefully they cool off a little bit at some point. I can grab one. Jerry West, the logo man, is a great long-term investment. Yep, 61 Fleer. 61 Fleer. I don't own any 61 Fleer basketball, but man, do I want some of those. I've got a couple of hobby friends that have shared some of their 61 Fleer stuff, and one of them does have a Jerry West rookie from that set, and that is an incredible set. I love that set. Just iconic, very iconic set. Top 3 favorite vintage football cards. Oh man, that's really tricky. That is really, really tricky. I think that I have a Jim Brown rookie card, PSA 3. I would say that is one of them. The Jim Brown rookie. On the card, it's Jimmy Brown. I'm really glad I picked that up. I picked it up maybe 18 months ago. A PSA 3 was about $200 back then, and now they're like $500 or $600. So they're not crazy expensive, but they've gone up. So Jim Brown would probably be one. I recently bought a Roger Staubach rookie card. Not a high grade, PSA 6. Really like that card as well. I'm not a big Cowboys fan, but Roger Staubach, I mean, you could argue that he's the best Cowboys QB of all time. Troy Aikman obviously has got 3 rings, and Troy's very popular with Cowboys fans, but Staubach is that classic QB outside of Aikman. As far as popularity goes. The third one, I'll be honest, I've got so many vintage football that I really, really like. Those are a couple, but I really like the Lawrence Taylor rookie card I got. And I know that's 82 tops, so that's kind of, I don't know if that's considered vintage, but I really like that. LT to me is the best defensive player of all time. So having that card is awesome. I was happy to get it. Not a high grade. I think mine's an 8. Well, I guess it's pretty high. PSA 8. Yeah, I love that card. All right. Christian, thoughts on Kevin Durant 2019 Optic Holo in the Nets uniform? You have 8 of those. Wow, nice. Okay, the Durant Optic Holo. You know what? I think I've got one of these. Yeah, I've got one of those Durant Optic Holos, and I've got some of the like blue velocities. I've got kind of some of the parallels of that. So and honestly, I'm not holding those long term. I'm going to go ahead and sell those leading up to next season. The Nets. Steve Nash is coaching the Nets now. Did you guys see that? So Steve Nash is going to be coaching the Nets. I wonder if that's going to give the Nets kind of an added boost as far as the fan base goes, because Nash is all-timer, all-time great player. I love Steve Nash. And he's the Nets coach now. So yeah, I mean, I wonder with Durant and those guys, if they get a little bit of a boost with Kyrie. I'm not a huge Durant fan, so I'll probably look to move those if possible, kind of leading into that next season. I'm assuming there'll be some hype around the Nets going into next season, and that's when I'd probably look to move them. Yamwax, yeah, you're right. So Unitas, Walter Payton, yeah, the Walter Payton is a classic card. That's one on the wish list for sure. I picked up a Jerry Rice PSA 7 just to have one because it was $75, so it wasn't, it didn't break the bank. I just wanted to own that Rice rookie card. I love that card. All right, what else do we have here? Yeah, Randy Moss was always my favorite rookie. Yeah. Favorite card or cards you own? That's tricky too. There's a lot of different ones I like. Honestly, I like the, from a nostalgia standpoint, there's a lot of like, the Brett Favre action pack rookie card. Um, I've got a lot of cool like 80s basketball cards that I could never afford as a kid. Nothing crazy. I mean, it's just like, 87 Fleer Magic Johnson, 87 Fleer Larry Bird graded, and then I've got a lot of the stickers and stuff that I couldn't necessarily afford either, back then. So, but nothing, super high dollar. But yeah, I like my vintage stuff, but I really like the modern stuff I've got too. I've kind of loaded up on, Anthony Davis and a Lakers uniform, and I've gotten some of that, some of the modern stuff, and a good mix of everything in between. Yeah, Steve Nash. It's exciting that he's coaching the Nets. I mean, next year is going to be, it's going to be wild. The Nets are going to be good. The Wizards, or excuse me, not the Wizards, the Warriors are going to be back. I'm excited to see the Warriors again in the West. I think that's going to add some nice flair. I'm hoping that Porzingis doesn't have anything too serious with his knee. As you guys know, I'm a Mavs fan. So, I'm looking for those battles in the West of, Lakers, Clippers, Mavericks, and the Warriors. I mean, the West is going to be absolutely insane next year. It was insane this year, and you didn't even have a good Warriors team who's going to come back, at full strength. So it's going to be wicked. It's going to be wicked. Did I have any? No, I think that I covered the questions I had beforehand. Yeah. 57 Tops. Football has Unitas star rookies. Oh, you know what I bought today? Yeah, Max. And Trevor, I bought a second year Bart Starr, 58 Tops. Check that one out. 58 Tops Bart Starr. That's a sweet looking card. And I was just thinking second year. The rookie card's expensive. But and look, the 58 Tops is expensive too, depending on the grade. I think the grade I got was a 6, maybe. 58 Tops, Bart Starr, second year. I think it was $100, maybe $90 or $100, maybe a little bit less. So I'm excited about that one. I just bought that one today. I don't own any Bart Starr, but outside of Favre and I guess now Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's one of those, he's the king of Green Bay QBs. This is a good question, Dom. Do you think BGS 9.5s will get closer to PSA 10 value in the future? All right, we're back. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. All right. Good. I lost a shingle. I lost a blind back here too earlier. It's just, another thing that's great that's going on here is one of our smoke alarm batteries has to be changed, and it's literally like 15 feet in the air on the ceiling. So, and I don't have a 12-foot ladder. So it's my wife and kids are upstairs sleeping or trying to sleep, and I can hear it all the way downstairs. I can hear it all the way downstairs. So hopefully you guys can't hear it either. But do you think that, or do I think that BGS 9.5s will get closer to PSA 10 value in the future? I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's all going to be kind of hobby preference and market, what people prefer. I do think, though, that BGS 9.5s with subgrades, I think, certain ones, certain cards certainly can. And I think it's just going to depend on preference, grading company preference. and it can change. I mean, we've talked about SGC and PSA and BGS. It could, I think another thing that we have to think about too is, are these companies going to do anything to kind of further their service? Are they going to make it, are they going to give added value? Is there going to be a breakthrough in technology? And whichever company does that could break through and beat the other companies. I don't think that, just because PSA is king right now as far as values go, if they rest on their laurels and they don't necessarily stay up to date with technology or stay up to date with offerings, they could very well be passed up. I mean, they have a very good reputation, so I mean, who knows? But I think that it's certainly up for discussion. I don't think it's set in stone, which grading company is going to be the one. All right, Ziggy says, BGS 9.5 pop counts will be higher than PSA 10, so the price is likely not changing. You don't want a 9.5 to be equal, in my opinion. Okay, well, yeah, that's an interesting take on it. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting debate. And then will there be, some sort of technology, another company that comes in and just wipes them all away with something better? I think there are some people that really like the human element of, humans grading cards in the same way that, they like human referees refereeing games. They don't necessarily want all the technology, built into to the game. So, I think it really depends on, everyone's, how each person feels about it. But it will be interesting. I can tell you, I mean, as a collector investor, I would really like consistency with grading. And that's the thing. I think that everybody especially if you're putting serious money, into the hobby, you really want a PSA 10 to be a PSA 10 every single time. If you submit it 10 times, it's a 10 every time. And with humans, I think that's difficult. I mean, I've heard of people saying that they have a valuable card, they get a PSA 9, they resubmit and resubmit and resubmit and try to basically, they crack the case and then they resubmit it and they try to get a 10. I've heard that, I've subbed it 5 times or something to try to get that 10. And to me, it's like, well, I mean, I just want to make sure, you hope that there's consistency, because the difference between a 9 and a 10 price can be massive. So, and I understand the motivation for someone to try to crack the case and get that 10, because it might be a 10-time multiplier or something, of the price. So I get it. So I don't know. Grading is one of those things. There's differing opinions in the hobby. So yeah, it'll be interesting how it goes. Yeah, I saw this too, Phoenix Rising. CCG has announced they will be getting into the grading game for sports cards. They have a background in grading coins and comics. CCG is a massive company. I mean, and they're no stranger to grading. So, I mean, I guess, competition typically breeds excellence. When you have, companies competing, usually you get better products out of that. So I think that's the hope. I don't know if CCG is going to overtake, the traditional sports card companies, but you never know. They have cool cases. I saw that kind of the cases I saw are similar to kind of their comic book graded cases. And I did like how they were. I don't know if they've actually started grading sports cards. I don't know if anyone's heard about if they have or not. I know they were going to be grading, like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering and things like that. I don't know if they've started those either. I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one for sale on eBay. So I don't know if they're actually out there yet, but it's interesting. Yeah, BGS 10 is superior to PSA 10 for the same reason PSA 10 over BGS 9.5. Yeah, I agree with that, Ziggy. I agree with that. Marshall Falk. Yeah, no, I've picked up, and I think I had it in my last mail day, a couple of the 94 SP Marshall Falks, and they're foil. It's a foil card. And I got PSA 9s. I did get 110. And the reason why I actually picked up 3 PSA 9s. I think I got 3. They're $30 each. And to me, and I understand that, it's PSA 9 on a card from 1994, but it's a foil card. And my understanding of foil cards is that they're tough to grade. So, and I could be wrong on this, but I think that PSA 9 foil cards are, probably probably a step up from a cardboard card that's a PSA 9. So, even though they're fairly common, those PSA 9s for $30, for those Marshall Faulk SPs, rookies, I thought that was fairly good value. So I picked up a couple of those. And then the 10 is a little bit more rare. I think there's maybe only 500 PSA 10s, roughly, of Marshall Faulk. And Marshall Faulk's going to go down as, he's a great run. He was a great running back. He's still working in the booth and, in broadcasting. He's still out there. So overall good guy. He's a Rams legend, if you're a Rams fan. So yeah, I really like Marshall Faulk. Really like Marshall Faulk. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to wrap up here pretty soon. Let's see if there's any more questions that come through. Oh, yeah, Max. I hear CCG also has anti-counterfeit tech because they authenticate money. They may bring new tech to cards and truly disrupt the market. That's the type of stuff that I would like to see. Stuff like that, to where we tighten things up a little bit. If it's truly going to be a long-term investment asset class, and really be taken seriously in the mainstream, you really have to. I think there's some things that need to be tightened up for sure. And so I think that would be a good thing. I would welcome it. I don't know if I would all of a sudden start buying, CCG over everything else. I think that would kind of take some time, because there's people have been buying PSA and BGS forever. And even SGC. SGC cases, the older ones, SGC's been around for 20 plus years. So, for a new company coming in, you really have to offer some serious value, I think, to break into that market share. But the door has been open. I think if PSA can't improve turnaround times, and if it gets very expensive to grade cards, then it opens doors for new companies. So it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting. But all right, guys. Well, hey, any more questions? Last call for any questions. We're right at about the hour and 11-minute mark. I've got to go watch the highlights from that Celtics Rappers. I'm tired. Sorry. The Celtics Raptors game. I need to go check that out. And I need to get my mind right. I've got my fantasy football draft next week, and then I think I'm also doing a show with. I think Hobby Box is going to be on it. Boris and then Brad with Comeback Card Investor. I think we're going to be doing kind of a pre-NFL, like an NFL, show leading up to the season starting. So I'm excited about that. I've got some more of that stuff. Oh, I might be doing one with Flipping Steve again here shortly in a few days. We've got a lot of collaborations that are coming up. So we will see, guys. We will see. But hey, thank you for hanging with me and just kind of talking sports and talking cards. I always enjoy kind of a lot of the same guys that I talk to, on Twitter and, on through Facebook and everything join up. So I really appreciate your support. You guys have a great night, and we will see you again soon. Take care, guys.